Oh, recording in progress. All right. Well, good morning, folks. How are you guys doing today? I know there will be a few stragglers coming in, and we have a lot of people online, so that's pretty cool on this hybrid edition of Into the Box. In all reality, I was super nervous to do this again, but I was like, you know what, we have to do it. In the good old days, I would just get nervous and just go to the bathroom and vomit a little. So I've gotten a lot better now. I just vomit in my mouth and I swallow it and I'm ready to go. I have a mask. It's all good. No more nerves. I have mints as well. Don't worry. But I'm excited to finally be doing this with live humans again. So pretty exciting. So my name is Luis Majano, CEO of Ortus. I'm a computer engineer by trade, creator of all things Box, and some have called me a documentation weirdo. Quickly, just thanks to our sponsors, Adobe, DataStream, and Lucid Outsourcing, helping us with all the virtual stuff and all the virtual attendees. All the speakers who were able to come, there was a lot that are going to be doing this remote. Obviously, we're in weird times still, but thank you so much for taking the time to come here. All right, better? All right, so thanks to the ITB committee for helping and assisting, getting all this craziness together. So thank you so much. If you see them, thank them. So if you want to know what's going on, you can go to schedule.intothebox.org. So we have a progressive web app available for you. So go ahead and look at it. We have all the schedules, everything that's going on, all the activities throughout these 2 days. Of course, we're recording everything. It's going to be free to everybody that is here and virtual. It'll be probably about 2 to 3 weeks after today, and it'll be on CFcasts. So you'll get a coupon code and you'll have all the content available for you. We're also going to have lots of raffles tomorrow, so be present to win. We'll use our handy raffle box CLI to do all of our raffles and get a lot of goodies out there. And Happy Box is back. So we have masked mariachis coming, lots of tequila. So it should start around 6 p.m. outside, and very excited to bring the mariachis back again for us. All right, we have lots of stuff to show you. Very cool stuff that we're building, cool releases happening today. So very excited. We brought story time back, so we're going to start out with a little bit of story of what we've been doing, obviously, throughout this time, this extraneous time. Our story is called Good, and obviously 2020 sucked big time, as we all know. We were either scrambling for toilet paper or masks or Zoom rooms or Lysol or bleach or whatever, pretty much anything that could nuke anything. So it was terrible, right? We all know this, thank God it's behind us, go away. But it was also a year of opportunities and a lot of challenges. There were a lot of words that ruled the land, words that have power, words that really affected everybody, from anxiety to fear to uncertainty, but also hope, compassion, and grit, really. So it's really an unprecedented time, and we're still going through it and affecting all of us. For me, it affected personally a lot. One such challenge came last year, around June 4th. I went on my typical COVID bicycle ride on my beautiful, nice e-bike, thinking I was 17 and just cruising fast like a champ. Until I hit a wet patch of grass and just flew like a 40-year-old little boy. And a lot happened. I broke 3 ribs in my back, two bruised ribs on my side. My AC joint exploded in my shoulder. My clavicle, as you can see, completely dislocated up. I cannot breathe. It was really tremendous pain. just taking lots of painkillers for the first week just to be able to breathe. My good friend, Dr. Araujo, fellow Salvadorian pulmonologist here in the Houston area, helped me out. He tested me, and I basically was stopping to breathe every 28 to 30 times an hour. My saturation was around 70%, and I think with COVID, we all know about oxygen saturation now. So it's pretty bad. So he gave me a breathing machine just to kind of be able to sleep at night. So it improved a lot, but it was really terrible. Thank God he helped me, and unfortunately, he even passed away fighting COVID, a real hero. So he was somebody that helped me out and be able to get out of my funk. But throughout all that, it was really coming to a crossroad of what to do. You know, I couldn't focus on anything. I stopped taking the medicines because it would just make me funky. And I had to make a choice. What do I do here? You know, my kids I have 2 kids. I have to be able to have a hard face for them and know what to do with them. And it was difficult, but I remembered a few things just to kind of get out of this, you know, a lot of anxiety and pseudo depression in all reality. I remember our good old friend, Jocko Willink, ex-Navy SEAL, has a Jocko podcast, and I remembered a video called Good, and it was just constantly keeping in my head. So I remembered it, and it was basically how to get good out of any bad situation, how to reload, how to re-engage and recalibrate, and for me, how to refocus, how to focus my mind again. For me, also as a man of faith, it was important to just get back to it, right? Remember Romans 8, and I just made that my life verse for the moment and prayed as much as I could and cried as much as I could. And I also needed to activate my brain. So I really went hard at discipline to have a rehab for it. And I wanted to learn something new. I was reading that when you learn something new or you change your environment, you release endorphins, and these endorphins can dull the pain, right? And can actually help you focus and help you think about other things. So for me, it was actually Quasar. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn this right now. And after 1 to 2 weeks, a new box was born, called CommandBox. So after all this bad, something good has happened. And it really helped me focus away from the pain. So we've always been wanting to do this at Ortus, and it was a new way to manage Ortus. We're tired of many external and internal systems, nothing really adjusted to our needs. We wanted business intelligence, you know, kind of an employee work hub, centralized reporting, being reactive and not proactive. So it became a reality. So it's a business management platform. It's 2 distributed microservices, a ColdBox 6 API, a Quasar app with Vue.js, multilingual and multi-currency, and it has a whole slew of features that we built in already and built a team around it with the people in El Salvador. From timesheets to employee and contract management, to client and project management, invoicing, quoting, payments, software licenses, business intelligence, payroll modules, time off, a client portal, and so much more. So these are a little sneak peek, a little bit of the dark mode and light mode, how to manage permissions, all permissions-based, client management, project management, timesheets, so you can actually schedule your timesheets and enter your timesheets. Timers, so you can actually start creating as many timers as you want, including another Quasar app to do your timers. Light mode for invoicing. Creation of different types of projects, from fixed pricing to member pricing to hourly pricing to support. So trying to adapt to all types of business needs. And of course, to keeping time as well for charging for things. So really excited to introduce CommandBox pretty soon. We're going to have an internal beta of all of Ortus starting next month. We want to actually start a SaaS beta by, oops, I went too fast. Go back. We want to start a SaaS beta for this by next year, Q1, and open it publicly Q2. We're going to start building all the mobile and desktop apps as well, and to target any developer or any smaller business that just wants to manage the people, to manage their projects and services. So if you're interested, you can hit us up at CommandBox Solutions, and you can try it out. So I mentioned that the story was called Good, and I actually found the video that I saw that I kept remembering. So I'll just put it on so you can see a little bit of of what I saw and I remembered. Oh, Brad.
I'm getting nothing.
Oops. Yeah. No. I blame Brad.
It worked last night.
Disconnect it and put it again.
Works so much.
He said, you're going to say good.
We'll start off again. Right. Good.
One of my direct subordinates, one of my guys that worked for me, he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. And finally one day he was telling me about some issue that he was having, some problem. And he said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. He said, that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say good. And I said, well, yeah. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get funded. Didn't get the job you wanted. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Got tapped out? Good. Got beat? Good. You learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
All right, that was the video. As you can see, it really motivated me, and I had to see it almost daily. So came to that choice. For those that deal with anxiety or depression, never lose hope. Try to reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and refocus. Activate your faith, learn something new, try something new. If not, Jocko will come to your house and motivate you personally. Okay? We'll hook you up with him. But indeed, we have open even an email if you want assistance. We really believe in this, and it helped me get out of my funk. So hopefully that will be helpful for anybody as well. So that's a story for you guys. I wanted to start just to tell you a little bit personal what happened to me personally this last year and how it actually motivated to actually go for everybody to go on the attack. And we have a lot of stuff to show you. So very excited today to start off FORGEBOX. We've done lots of work in FORGEBOX, and very excited today to give the mic here to my friend Javier to tell you a little bit about FORGEBOX.
Morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are excited about ITV 2021 after all these COVID times. And yes, I'm Javier Quintero. I'm from Colombia, and I've been working for Ortus for 4 years now, and I'm the lead developer of FORGEBOX. So I have really good news for you today. So we're going to be talking about some new features and new stuff. So we have a surprise. So it's been a really busy 12 months. So we have had 6 releases, over 300 new users, 222 new packages, over 3,000 new versions, and 18 million requests on FORGEBOX. So very active year. Yeah, we have some graphs here that will show you that we are actually growing. So from 2020 to 2021, you can see that we grew even more than the previous years. So we are more than 1,000 users right now. So that's pretty good. The community is growing, and that's something really amazing. So same for the new packages, almost 1,000. So we keep growing and growing. Packages versions. We can see that we grew a lot from 2020 to 2021. Almost 10,000 new package versions. We have something really nice to announce today. So please help me with some drums over there. Thank you. Yeah, FORGEBOX 6 has landed. So we have been working really hard this last year, a lot of work, and we have great stuff coming in FORGEBOX 6. So today, we are introducing FORGEBOX Business Plan. And as you can see here in the orange structure, we have the user with the packages that could be public and private with the collaborators. And that was what we had in FORGEBOX, but now we're introducing organizations. So basically, now you can have unlimited organizations, teams, and you can manage your security. You can have organization-based security, team-based security. We have introduced audit logs and a nice UI and many things more. So in FORGEBOX Business, you will pay for organization member. It starts as little as $6.99 per month per user. So we have worked a lot in the UI, and we have worked on a new way to show everything in one place. So now we have a sidebar where you can access to a new dashboard section here, where you can see some reports for your user or your organization account. You can see your top packages, your collaborations, and you can actually take actions on some pending invites for collaborations and organizations. So this is how it looks like. It shows you some nice information and everything in one place. So activity logs, that's something that is new and we are very excited about. So you can get up to 180 days of activity, and they can be user activity or organization activity, depend on the context that you are on. And basically, it will tell you all the updates that are related to your account. So if there is a package update, it will be logged, and you can see if you logged in from a different machine, everything will be logged, and you will have system activity logs and user activity logs. So this is just an example of how it looks like. We also have a new package management that looks like this. So basically, we have everything in one same place where you can manage your package. You can edit the metadata. You can add new versions. You can filter what you have. It shows you what the current version is. You can add collaborators, send invites, revoke, and all that, everything in the same place. So we are also introducing API keys management. So now we are able to handle multiple tokens that will allow us to have a better security, and you can generate as many tokens as you want. You can revoke and have always a default token that will be used for CommandBox or any other third-party app. Okay, we will have our release this afternoon, so expect that, and you can visit the site and start exploring FORGEBOX business. So we're very, very excited about that. And also, this is like what we have in mind, what it's coming for FORGEBOX. So we're gonna work on code quality tooling, security code audits, package stats and reporting, textbox visualizer and history reports. We're planning on doing some source code integration as well, starting with GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitLab. Package black and white listing, Elasticsearch. We are also planning on creating our own marketplace in Europe and USA, and also the ability to have package licensing and also package transfers, so you can transfer any package to any FORGEBOX user. So yeah, we have a lot of things to work on. Nice stuff is coming. We have been working hard to help the community, and I hope you guys like this new push and update that we have done. This is for you guys, so be ready today to visit the site and check for the update.
Cool. It's working again, Brad?
There we go.
All right, very cool. So we have a little video kind of created because it's pretty crazy that ColdBox is actually 15 years this June. So it's our 15-year anniversary. We had to kick out the piñata here. So we have a piñata. We'll have several piñatas tonight with the mariachis, but really, really excited that, man, it's been 15 years since I released the first version of ColdBox. And it's kind of weird that we're even pumped even more at this point. So we have lots planned for ColdBox. 6X series started last year. After ITB, we've done already 9 releases, 6.6 is under development, and we're already planning for the next versions. So very exciting time for me still with ColdBox. I think there's still so much more to do. So that was last year, we released 6. This year, 5 goes into LTS and lots of 6.x versions. Next year, we're going to expect 7 and 6 to enter LTS, and so forth going on. So we have a lot planned for the next 4 years. When we introduced 6 last year after Into the Box, we definitely thought it was a giant leap for CFML. There were a lot of things that we have been wanting to do for a long time. And finally, with Brad, we were able to crack those nuts and be able to introduce a lot of things into, not only for ColdBox developers, but for ColdFusion developers. We kind of focused on 5 big features for the 6th release. We focused on the concept of futures for asynchronous programming. We focused on task execution, more REST, new renderings, more speed, and a new exception handling abilities for developers called whoops. And then mid-year, we introduced scheduled tasks. To start off with CB Futures, this is bringing the whole concept of completable futures from Java world into ColdFusion. So we created the synchronous package. And the good thing is that it's not only available for ColdBox developers, but for any ColdFusion developer that wants to use them via Wirebox. So you can have full access to this. It's not only a ColdBox thing, but a CFML thing. And we wanted to bring these expressive DSLs for asynchronous and parallel computations that could be very unrestrictive for us. And we've ported almost 90% of the Java API into CFML, and there's even a full topic on this as well. Just a little example of what you can do with it. You can do, talk to our sync manager and be able to asynchronize and do parallel computations, and then be able to wait all for that executions to wait and then deal with it. You have the concept of, races, so you can actually race these asynchronous computations and get one result, or build pipelines, right, within those futures and be able to have executions and then manipulate them as they come in, as the results come in. So we've done a tremendous amount of work to bring non-blocking IO into ColdFusion. We also introduced tax executors or your own thread pools, so you can actually build lots of great things such as queues. You have the ability to create fixed or single or cached or even scheduled executors, non-blocking executions. We have a management API for it, and we have a CD debugger visualizer, so you can actually see all the threads that are being executed within your app. Very easy to use. Here's just a quick example of the API. Very easily, you can actually create as many executors as you want, and actually, here's a thread pool with 100 threads, and you can start applying and executing computations through them. Another area that we really wanted to focus on is scheduling. Okay, scheduled tasks in ColdFusion kind of suck, in my opinion. They've always been restricted to a server. You had to have access to that server. They always execute through HTTP or HTTPS. Handling security is cumbersome. So we wanted a more human, a more approachable way to scheduling. So we created the concept of an app scheduler to be able to register and manage scheduled tasks. But since we live in a hierarchical MVC world, every module can also have its own scheduler. So this can actually produce a whole hierarchy of scheduling and work queues within your application. Just a little tease, we have a full session on this as well, but you can actually register tasks to call different type of executions. These can be closures, these can be components, these can be events, this can be renderings, whatever, with a human approach to execute every hour at a specific minute, every minute, every day, every business day, with no overlaps. You can even put them on one server or multiple servers. So lots of great tools to do that with our HMVC scheduled tasks. Better. All right, so you can prevent overlaps, do all kinds of things with scheduled tasks, enablement, disablement, statistics, time zone support, so much more. And Mr. Brad Wood is going to be talking about all the things that you can do with scheduling and tasks in his session. All right, the next feature is we focus a lot on REST. We had REST capabilities in ColdBox since 2008, and we keep increasing the capabilities to make it easier for developers to actually do exception handling, to do debugging, authentication, validation, HTTP responses. We have a native response object and a native REST handler available to you. Very easy to use. Here's a typical example. You set up a component annotated with REST handler, that's it, right? And then you have access through the event context, a response object where you can set up error messages, data, marshalling, all that good stuff for you. So we really wanted to improve in a fluent approach for you to build your RESTful services. And thanks to Mr. Eric Peterson, we introduced a new developer debugging experience called Whoops. And every time that there is an exception in ColdBox, you get a nice console if you're in development where you can actually see a snapshot of the exception. You can actually get the source code of the exception. You can have the stack traces. You can actually navigate through the stack traces and through the code to actually pinpoint the exceptions line by line highlighted. You have the exception details with all the RAS stack traces, everything that you need to find the bug. And the cool thing is that we also made the ability for you to open this in your favorite editor. So as you navigate the exception traces, you can actually be opening line by line in your editor. So really excellent approach to debugging. So those were kind of our big features. Also, more than 80 tickets closed for ColdBox 6. But this gives you a good idea of what we've been releasing in the 6 series. And like I said, we're not done. We have lots of things that we're working on as well. Right now for 6.6, we're working on child injectors, which is already in the bleeding edge. This is something that Brad and I have been wanting to do for a long, long time. And it gives you the ability for a dependency injector to not only have a parent, but to also have child injectors by name. And this basically opened up the world for us to do a new feature we're calling ME, which is module inception isolation. This allows you for any ColdBox application to use modules with different versions. So you can have a CB security using CB storage 2.5, but CB18N using CB storage 2. And that will bring isolation for dependency injection, for event execution, and just gives you a lot of abilities for packaging. We're also working on more streams into the Java API, and we are almost very close to tapping into reactive CFML to give you the ability to not only observe data, but to subscribe on data very easily with reactive executions through streams. We're also working on native WebSocket executions. We already have a package on this to be able to execute events natively through WebSockets as a new protocol. So lots coming in the WebSocket front. And we have a great surprise for you today of a new box. I did not create this one, so that's pretty exciting. And it's going to be available today. It's called CBWire. So I want to bring up Grant Copley, introduce himself and introduce our new box called CBWire.
Hello. All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. So, yep, my name is Grant Copley. I am a developer with Ortus Solutions, and I am the lead developer for a new module that we are very excited to announce this year at In the Box called CBWire. So before I tell you what CBWire is, I'd like to talk about why CBWire. So let's just quickly talk about some of the front-end complexities that we are dealing with in 2021. So for starters, a lot of us are working with JavaScript frameworks. We're working with Vue.js, React, Angular, and these frameworks are awesome and they're powerful, but they can also introduce a lot of complexity into our apps. We're dealing with JavaScript compilation, templating, syntax of our templates. We're dealing with state management. We're building JSON API backends so that our front end can talk to them. We're dealing with testing. We're trying to find ways to test our front end and test it well, and that's not always easy. We are sometimes running into duplicate logic, or we're repeating ourselves. We're repeating ourselves back on the server side, and we're repeating ourselves on the client side. We're dealing with dependencies of dependencies, lock-in into front-end frameworks. So once we kind of go a direction with one, we're pretty much locked into doing things a certain way. Debugging our front-end applications. How are we doing that? And what tools do we have to learn to be able to do that? And this just all kind of adds into this big, just complexity bubble. So now we said, why CBWire? So what is CBWire? So CBWire is a ColdBox module we've been working on. It is currently in 1.0 beta. It is built on top of Livewire. So Livewire is a library that comes from the PHP community. It was written by Caleb Porzio. It is MIT licensed. And it is battle tested. So there is a lot of excitement in the PHP community about Livewire. There's a lot of production apps that are using it. And CBWire gives us an alternative approach to building modern applications. And so typically what we're doing in these scenarios with Vue.js, React, we are talking to a backend API that's returning JSON. And CBWire works a little bit different. Instead of sending JSON back, it's sending HTML. We call it HTML over the wire. And it's a complete paradigm shift. And once you'll be seeing more of this, but once you do this, it can often eliminate the need for a back-end API altogether. The UI elements and behaviors are organized into Cold Fusion components that we are calling wires. CBWire is a front-end focused module, so a lot of ColdBox modules are more kind of back-end focused, but this one is a front-end focus to help with front-end development. CBWire keeps template rendering on the server, so when you render your CBWire components, they render in real time. And this is SEO friendly. And CBWire is, we designed it to be fast, simple, and to create just a more productive development experience. All right, so I'm going to take a look at this real quick. So this is how CBWire works. You've got 3 core methods that are introduced when you install it. We've got wire styles. So this injects the CSS that CBWire needs. And then we've got a reference at the bottom here for wire scripts. And that is a reference to LiveWire. And then finally, we've got a new method called wire. And we pass in the name of our component that we want to render. In this case, a counter. We'll take a look at our component. So here's our component. It's very simple. It's just a simple Cold Fusion component. We extend cbwire.models.component. And our component is broken down into 3 core sections. We have data properties. So these are reactive properties. And creating them here kind of sets the initial state of our properties for our component. We have actions. So actions are things that do something, but most often what they're doing is they're altering the state of our component. And then finally, we have rendering. And we have a render it method that you define. And then you tell CBWire where is your template for your component. So once we've done that, then we get this. So over here on the left, you'll see this is our template, counter.cfm. There is an outer div, so that is a requirement of CBWire. LiveWire needs an outer element to bind to. And then we have a button here, and we're using wire::click. And so our button is going to emit a click event, and LiveWire is going to detect that. And when it does, it's going to send an AJAX call to the server, and it's going to execute our increment method. And this is what happens. So you'll see initially our counter starts at 0, and it just builds up all the way up to 5. So that is CBWire. It's got a lot of features built in, the core methods there. There's all kinds of template directives that I'll be getting into and I'll talk later. It gives us UI elements to CFC binding. Actions, we can define actions, data properties, computed properties. If you worked with Vue.js, it's very similar to that. It's got an event system built in, so your components can communicate with each other, both server side and client side. We've got lifecycle hooks. You can nest components. We've got FORGEBOX in there. We've got all kinds of stuff in there. And we've even created a scaffolding tool that you can use to scaffold out your components. So, like I said, this is in beta. We're really excited to announce it. We need your feedback and ideas, and I've got a session today that I'll be talking more about it. So, let's see CBWire.
Okay, I think I'm here to take us home. So apparently today I am Senor CLI. Luis names me just random names every day. This microphone's still popping, so I might grab the handle. I didn't do that. It's okay. All part of the show, folks. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about CommandBox, what we've done this year. We had the state of CommandBox. Oops, I've already clicked twice. I'm so excited. I'm just clicking this thing. Let's go all the way back. Close my eyes. No, you have to close your eyes, George. Okay, CommandBox is 7 years old now. We've had 33 total releases. I really like this stuff. The total number of pull requests, 532. So that's almost 300 to the CommandBox core, over 80 pull requests to CommandBox modules, and 150 pull requests sent to the docs. So that's on you guys, the community. Thanks so much for helping contribute. It's not just my product and Ortus product. We really have a lot of community input, and I love that. About 250 tickets closed this year, and 67 pull requests just this year. So we're seeing a lot more community contributions, and I love that. We've had over 100,000 downloads from all versions of CommandBox, and the CommandBox 5X series has had over 30,000 downloads. So we average almost 3,000 downloads a month. That includes some of the automated server stuff, but it also doesn't always track things like Homebrew, which goes straight to S3. It's really hard to tell who uses something when you just give it away for free, right? But we do our best to try to at least see who's downloading it, to have a mechanism to see the usage. Looking at the number of Adobe and Lucy installations. So anytime you type server start in CommandBox and you start a server for the first time and it goes and it downloads that CF engine from FORGEBOX, counting that, we've had over 133,000 Adobe ColdFusion installations, which is, I think, more than double from the number last year. And then we've had over 220,000 Lucy installations, which is actually even more impressive since the default Lucy server you start doesn't download anything. And this only tracks installations that actually had to go out and download something. So really interesting trend here from year to year, just the number of server installs. And you can see that Lucy usage is really pulling ahead, which is kind of interesting to see. Okay, we have some statistics from the State of the CF Union survey. 44% of local development servers are running CommandBox, according to the respondents, the 300 some odd people who responded to the survey. 42% of Docker deploys are running on CommandBox in the CF world, out of those polled. And there's actually more people using CommandBox-based Docker images than the official Adobe and Lucy images. So we love that. And we've been seeing more and more production deployments coming in, even if they're not Docker-based, just virtual machines, light sail on AWS. There's lots of ways people using CommandBox and its tooling to get their stuff out there. And here you can just see some trending from last year and this year of the local usage and Docker usage going upwards. So we love seeing those trends. Quick review of the things we did this last year. Well, since the last Into the Box, which was actually, what, 18 months or something? A little bit more than a year. So CommandBox 5.1 added the ability to start a pure HTML server. So you can start up a server that does not have a CF engine. You're showing me a 2. I don't know what the 2 means, but there's a 2 down here. What? 2 minutes. Oh, we have plenty of time. Okay, pure HTML servers. You don't need to use Node to do that, right? You use CommandBox. And I've tested this with as small as a 25 megabyte heap. Undertow's super small and lightweight. We had the CommandBox light and thin binaries, which is what powered Pete Freitag's mini-box Docker images. They're like 77 megabyte Docker images that come with CommandBox and the Azul JDK. Really handy. We added custom tray actions, so you can configure your own custom menu items in the tray icon that you click, and it can run any arbitrary command you want. Super extensible. In CommandBox 5.2, we added server profiles, ability to have a production profile and a development profile, which of course was accompanied by automatic lockdowns. So CommandBox is completely secure by default. Unless you tell it this is the development server or you bind it to localhost, it will go into production mode. It'll block the CF admin. It'll block your test box runners. It'll block any sensitive files, and this all happens out of the box. CommandBox is actually more secure when it's not behind another web server than when it is, because you put it behind IIS and IIS might start serving crap out of your web group. But CommandBox will lock things down. We also added server rules, the ability to do rewrites. Get an echo. The ability to do rewrites and custom response codes, even reverse proxies, all right in your server.json, which is based on the native Undertow functionality. Also, task runner lifecycle events, before task, after task, around task. Lots of improvements to those. And those are our pure command line execution of CFML code without a web server. And then, of course, we enhanced environment variables to have some system setting namespaces where you can access information from your server and other things. CommandBox 5.3 had a ton more stuff. Again, we added conventions for using environment variables to override any config setting or any server setting. So you can just set environment variables in your build scripts that turn on maybe verbose errors, set your FORGEBOX API key, whatever you want, and then you just run CommandBox. It'll absorb those environment variables in, and it'll override config settings and server.json. We have HTTP 2 support, which is on by default out of the box. As long as your browser supports it, it'll work. We also added our own JQ command, which was sent from Scott Steinbeck as a pull request, built on a brand new Cold Fusion implementation of the MES path filtering protocol, which is really super sweet, and that's all built in. Thanks to Eric Peterson, we added a really sweet ASCII art table visualizer that we're using internally in commands like update. And you can also use it in your own tasks. There's a command version of it. There's a service version of it. So it's really cool. And like your CI builds, you want to dump out some information to a screen. You can do all that. And of course, we added some additional security things to have automatic HTTPS redirects and HSTS by default. And then in our last version, we have the ability to override your WebXML. Sometimes people want to register custom servlets, servlet mappings. You can do that now without having to dig inside of the CF engine. We have the server prune command. So if you're like me, you have like 200 old servers that take up 50 gigs of hard drive space because you just test things all day long. So you can say server prune everything older than 3 months, and it just forgets all those servers for you. And then some fun interactivity like the ask and confirm commands that you can use in your CommandBox recipes to create interactivity, maybe build wizards, set up scripts. That all came in 5.4. Also, we had some really cool CFconfig releases this year. So CFconfig loads all of your Adobe, Cold Fusion, or Lucy server configuration in. We had a support for Lucy event gateways. You can now import and export just specific settings. So if you have a huge JSON file with all the settings on your server, you can say import just the data sources and nothing else, or just the mail servers and data sources. Also, this is a very cool feature that was actually suggested to me by someone at one of our Into the Boxes a couple of years ago. Will automatically, when we export settings out of your server into a JSON file, swap out any passwords or anything, and use a regular expression to define whatever you want, automatically swap out those sensitive pieces of information with an environment variable and write out a default env file for you. So your settings can be exported into 2 files, the clean JSON having all the environment variables that have the passwords and things. So you don't have to worry about accidentally committing that JSON to your repository and getting those secrets in there. We also have the ability to import settings into the Lucy server and web context, which is important because things like Lucy event gateways have to go in the web context. So that came out of necessity. And then we have more environment variable support. You can set literally anything on a server through environment variables, whether it's a simple setting or even overriding your mail server password with an environment variable that layers on top of your JSON file. All of these things are now possible in CFconfig. So as far as what's next, looking at adding more async functionality, all of the async manager things that Luis mentioned for the ColdBox, the completable futures, the whole Java concurrent SDK we built on top of, that's all in CommandBox now because CommandBox uses Wirebox. Yay, and it's all part of Wirebox. You can do things like cron-like scheduling. We're looking for more server lockdown options. We're working on more build tools. Things like compiling Java files so we can have more Java projects that integrate within, and of course, some more modern Java servlet support. So lots of new things coming, and Luis has added a quote to the bottom of my slide that says, if you want to do something new, you have to stop doing something old. That is so profound. Such profoundness. Okay, so with that, our keynote is over, and welcome everyone. Thank you for being at Into the Box 2021. Go forth and conquer.